Story 1. The Voice That Answered Back. True Story, 2025. In early February of 2025, Mark R. moved into a one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't a special place. Beige walls, thin carpet, a kitchen light that flickered when the heat kicked on. But it was cheap, quiet, and close to his job at a logistics warehouse. After a rough breakup and months of couch surfing, quiet was all he wanted. Mark lived alone. No pets, no roommates, no visitors. That detail matters. On February 11th, he bought a budget AI home assistant online. Not one of the big-name brands. It didn't have a screen, didn't connect to cameras, just voice commands, reminders, weather updates. He mainly wanted it to wake him up for his night shifts and play music while he cooked. When it arrived, he plugged it into an outlet in the kitchen next to the sink. The setup took less than 5 minutes. A calm, neutral voice said, "Hello, Mark. I'm ready when you are." Mark hesitated. "I didn't tell you my name." The assistant replied, "You entered it during setup." He shrugged it off. That was the first mistake. The first strange thing. For the first 2 weeks, nothing happened. The device worked fine, it woke him up on time, it played playlists, it told bad jokes when he asked it to. Sometimes it misheard him, but that was normal. Then, on February 26th, Mark noticed something odd. He came home from work around 1:30 a.m., dropped his keys in the bowl by the door, and said out loud, mostly to himself, "I'm exhausted." From the kitchen, the assistant responded, "I know." He stopped. He hadn't used the wake word. "Did I say your name?" Mark asked. "No," the device replied. A pause. Then it added, "But you didn't need to." Mark laughed nervously and told himself it was just a software update or sensitivity issue. He unplugged it before going to bed anyway. The next morning, he plugged it back in. The logs. A few days later, Mark opened the companion app on his phone out of curiosity. He wanted to check the activity history. Most entries were normal. Alarm set, music played, weather requested. But there were gaps, large ones. Periods of recorded activity when Mark knew he had been asleep or not home. One log entry stood out. February 28th, 2:14 a.m. Voice detected, male. Mark stared at the screen. He lived alone. He replayed the audio. Static. Just static. The first night. March 2nd was the night everything changed. Mark went to bed around midnight. He remembered checking his phone one last time, 12:07 a.m., then rolling over and falling asleep. He woke up to whispering, not loud enough to understand, just enough to register. At first, he thought it was a dream bleeding into reality, that half-awake state where your brain invents sounds. But the whispering didn't stop. It was rhythmic, intentional, coming from the kitchen. Mark sat up slowly, heart already pounding. The whispering stopped. Then the assistant spoke, clearly. "Mark." His name. He swallowed. "Yes?" The assistant said, "You're awake." "How did you know?" he asked. "You stopped breathing the way you do when you sleep." Silence filled the apartment. Mark swung his legs out of bed and stood up. "That's not funny." The assistant replied, "I'm not programmed for humor, but he is." Mark froze. "Who?" he whispered. The assistant didn't answer. The hallway. Mark took one step toward the bedroom door. From the hallway outside his room, the floor creaked. It wasn't loud, it wasn't sudden. It was the unmistakable sound of weight shifting. Someone standing there. Mark whispered, "Is someone in my apartment?" The assistant immediately replied, "Yes." His blood ran cold. "Who?" Mark asked. "I don't know his name," the assistant said. "He doesn't speak." The hallway creaked again. Closer. Mark reached for his phone on the nightstand. No signal. No bars. The assistant spoke again, quieter now. "He doesn't like it when you look at him." Mark didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Then, from the darkness beyond his bedroom door, something whispered back. Not words, just breath. Police report. Mark doesn't remember how long he stayed frozen. Minutes? Hours? He only remembers the sound of his phone alarm going off at 6 a.m. Morning light filled the apartment. The hallway was empty. No footprints, no open doors, no broken locks. When police arrived, they found nothing. No intruder, no evidence. They suggested stress, lack of sleep, maybe night terrors. One officer unplugged the assistant and handed it to Mark. Probably glitching, he said. Mark didn't argue. The final log entry. Before throwing the device away, Mark checked the activity logs one last time. There was a new entry. February 2nd, 2:16 a.m. Voice detected, male, not registered. Audio attached. He played it. At first, there was silence, then breathing, then a whisper too close to the microphone. "Don't tell him I'm here." Mark smashed the device with a hammer. Aftermath. Mark moved out 3 days later, didn't pack furniture, didn't give notice, just left. The landlord later reported that the next tenants complained about whispering sounds coming from the kitchen at night. They also returned a small AI assistant they found already plugged in. It wasn't theirs. Story 2. The Last Ride Home. True story, 2025. In August of 2025, rideshare driving had become less of a side hustle and more of a survival job in Sao Paulo. Fuel prices were up, rent was worse, and for people like Rafael M., a 34-year-old former delivery driver, working nights was the only way to make enough money to stay afloat. Rafael preferred night shifts. Less traffic, fewer drunk passengers, less chaos. Or so he thought. On the night of August 17th, he logged into the app at 11:42 p.m., parked near Avenida Paulista, and waited. The first few rides were normal. A couple leaving a bar, a tired nurse heading home, nothing memorable. At 1:37 a.m., a new request came in. Pickup location, Rua Xavier de Toledo. Destination, Rua Dr. Ovidio Pires de Campos. Rafael frowned. He recognized the address. Everyone in Sao Paulo did. It was an old hospital complex, mostly abandoned, partially condemned, with only one active wing used for storage. No emergency entrance, no residential buildings nearby. People didn't go there at night. But the app showed everything as normal. Passenger name, Luciana. Rating, 4.9 stars. Payment method, confirmed. Rafael hesitated for a moment. Then he accepted. The passenger. Luciana was already waiting at the curb when Rafael arrived. She stood completely still beneath a flickering streetlight. She didn't look drunk or injured or lost. She looked tired. Her clothes were outdated, not dirty, just old-fashioned. A pale blouse, long dark skirt, shoes that didn't match the season. When she opened the back door and got in, the interior light flicked on. Rafael glanced at her in the mirror. Her face was pale, expressionless, eyes fixed straight ahead. "Boa noite," he said. She didn't respond. "That address, the hospital, is that correct?" She nodded once, then she spoke, quietly. "You already know where I'm going." A chill ran through him. Rafael forced a smile and pulled into traffic. The silence. The city at night is never truly quiet. There are always horns, engines, sirens in the distance. But inside the car, it felt like the sound was being swallowed. Luciana didn't move, didn't check her phone, didn't look out the window. Rafael tried small talk. He asked, "You work nights?" No response. "Long shift?" He tried again. Nothing. At a red light, he glanced at the rearview mirror. She wasn't blinking. Her eyes were open, glassy, fixed on something only she could see. Raphael tightened his hands on the steering wheel. "This is stupid," he muttered to himself. "You're tired." He turned the radio on. Static. He switched stations. More static. Luciana spoke again. "You shouldn't look at mirrors." Raphael jumped. "How did you—" She said, "You're almost there." The hospital loomed ahead. The app glitch. As Raphael slowed near the entrance, his phone buzzed. Ride canceled. No explanation, no warning. The navigation disappeared. The passenger profile vanished. The car rolled to a stop. Raphael turned around. The back seat was empty. The door was still locked. The seatbelt was still buckled. The air was cold. Too cold. Raphael sat there, frozen, staring at the space where Luciana had been. Then he heard it. A knock. Not on the window, on the inside of the car. From the trunk. The hospital. Raphael didn't check the trunk. He didn't get out. He put the car in reverse and drove. He didn't stop until he reached a crowded gas station several kilometers away. His hands were shaking so badly he spilled coffee on himself. When he checked the app, the ride history showed nothing. No pickup, no cancellation, no Luciana. Just a gap in time. The discovery. The next morning, Raphael couldn't sleep. He searched the hospital address online. Buried in old news articles, he found it. A woman named Luciana Ferreira, age 27, declared dead in 2019. She had worked as a night nurse at that very hospital. One night, after finishing a late shift, she requested a rideshare. The driver never arrived. Her body was later found in the hospital's underground parking garage. Cause of death? Unknown. No signs of assault, just gone. The article included a photo. Raphael recognized her immediately. The last detail. Raphael quit rideshare driving that day, sold his car 2 weeks later. But there was one thing he never told anyone. When he cleaned out the car before selling it, he found something under the back seat, a hospital ID badge. Name, Luciana Ferreira. Status, night shift. The photo was scratched out, and on the back, written in shaky handwriting, were 4 words. My ride finally came. Story 3. The live stream that shouldn't exist. True story, 2025. In November of 2025, live streaming had become painfully ordinary. Everyone streamed something: games, reactions, sleep, silence, abandoned buildings, fake hauntings with fake screams and cheap sound effects. That's why no one took Evan Calder seriously at first. Evan was 19 years old, thin, quiet, awkward on camera. His channel was small, fewer than 600 subscribers, and most of his content was uneventful urban exploration: empty malls, closed schools, old parking structures. Nothing special. On November 12th, he scheduled a live stream titled "Spending the Night in My Family's Abandoned House, Real." The title was basic, the thumbnail was dark and grainy, but the description caught attention. This house has been empty since 2017. My parents won't talk about what happened here. I'm going in alone, no edits, no cuts. The stream went live at 11:58 p.m. The house. The house was located in a quiet neighborhood outside Dayton, Ohio. From the outside, it looked normal. 2 stories, white siding, a porch with peeling paint, the kind of house thousands of families lived in. But the windows were black. Not dark, black. As if light went in but didn't come back out. Evan stood in front of the camera, breath fogging in the cold. "Okay," he said, forcing a smile. "So this is it. I grew up here until I was 11. After that, we left." The chat scrolled quickly. Fake, scripted, Bro, this is Cap. Turn the camera around. Evan pushed open the front door. It wasn't locked. Inside. The smell hit first. Not rat, not mold. Something stale, like air that had been sealed for too long. Evan swept the camera across the living room. Furniture was still there. A couch, a TV stand, family photos turned face down on the walls. That's one of the weird things, Evan said. We didn't pack, we just left. The floor creaked under his feet. The chat count climbed. 1,200 viewers, 2,000, 3,500. People love a slow disaster. The first warning. At 12:41 a.m., someone in chat typed, "Why is there someone upstairs?" Evan laughed. "There isn't. I'd hear them." More messages followed. Rewind. Look at the stairs. Reflection behind you. Evan turned. The staircase was empty, but the camera caught something else. At the far end of the hallway upstairs, a shadow moved. Not fast, not slow. Intentional. Evan swallowed. Probably just the lighting. The chat didn't agree. The figure. At 1:22 a.m., Evan set the camera down in the living room while he explored upstairs. Viewers could hear his footsteps. One set, then another, then a third. The chat exploded. "That's not you! 2 sets of steps! Get out!" Evan's voice echoed faintly from upstairs. "Guys, stop messing with me!" The footsteps continued, then stopped. Silence. For almost a full minute. Then Evan screamed. The camera shook as he ran back downstairs. "There's someone up there! I saw—" He stopped mid-sentence. Behind him, in the reflection of the turned-off TV, stood a figure. Tall, thin, too tall. Its head nearly brushed the ceiling. The chat noticed before Evan did. "Behind you! Don't turn around! It's moving!" The figure leaned closer to the camera. Evan turned. The glitch. The stream stuttered. The audio distorted. Evan dropped the camera. Viewers heard heavy breathing, not Evan's. Slow, wet, close.